Hey everyone, I'm here with Carmen and Darius, the co-founders of Wealth Nation Money School. And today we just wanted to talk about how we built a six-figure business on Group App in less than a year.
Where do we start, guys?
I don't know, man. It's
To
been
talk
a
about that
journey.
hook.
So I think we start with the journey, because in order to get here, we made a lot of mistakes. We piecemealed a lot of things together because we wanted courses, we wanted community, but there wasn't a place that offered all those things in one place. When we did find something, we might have a course forward, but then the community would be an afterthought, or a membership would be afterthought, and vice versa. But what I really liked about this, based on where people are already congregating, when we think about Facebook groups, when we think about just different meetups, and what people really like is a community forward software that we can use and have courses made available to them. Yeah. And I think having those mistakes or mishaps early on has allowed us to know exactly what we want right now. And I think that's why we've been able to be successful, because we screwed it up a few times, haven't been successful, and we know exactly what we want now.
Yeah. And I think to the point too, it helps to have somebody who's forward thinking, such as yourself, Donna Barry, because we wouldn't be able to have this membership community if it wasn't for your insight. And hey, we need to build, or I need to build something like this, because I remember when we were just telling you like, hey, we want to create like this membership thing, but every system that we use, to your point, Darius, like doesn't have everything that we want. Like we have to use several different programs to make it do what we want to do. And we were so sick of having to log into multiple accounts. And so you were like, if you guys just be patient with me, I'll have something up and running, soon. And we were like, sure, whatever it is. So when you started Group App, we were like, yeah, this is exactly what we were talking about. This is what we need. And you already knew that information because you're very thorough with your research. And it just so happened that the timing worked out where you were building this amazing software as we were looking for it.
Yeah, he waited till our ribs were showing. Like, can we sign up yet? Can we sign up now?
Oh, that's funny.
No, I remember for me, like the frustration was, I have used so many course softwares out there, and every time I used them, I felt like I was just not, the learning experience wasn't great, right?
Correct.
It was basically, hey, watch a whole bunch of videos, go through maybe a couple of PDFs, and that's your course and that's your content, right? And if creators did have a community portion, it was put on the most distracting website in the world, which is a Facebook group. You go on Facebook. I don't know about you, but I'm not that disciplined where I can go on Facebook and not click on 15 other things in order to get to the first thing that I came for,
Very good
So
point.
there wasn't a great place or a community platform that allowed for ongoing learning in a way that was productive and provided creators and people building courses a way to also like monetize. So when I saw like that was also a problem that you guys were having, I was like, hey, we got to put our heads together and we're gonna fucking build this shit,
I think that's exactly what you said. but you're right. Like nothing, not to knock any of the other softwares, because they're absolutely necessary for specific creators and what they want to do. But for us, we just found the interface to be very cold, as far as like, we have a YouTube channel and we know people come to our channel because they want to see Darius and I interact, or they want us to interact with them. And so it makes it difficult for us to just put courses out there and not be able to connect with our community of people who come out there and show up for us.
Right.
And so we just kept feeling like we were banging our heads up against the wall, where they get the content from us, but they don't see us anywhere, and we can't interact with them. And so that was something that was difficult for us to find, because we know that's what's needed for our business, at least.
Yeah, so let's just get into like starting this thing, right? So we were like, hey, we're gonna build a membership community on Group App, and our first instinct was, hey, let's make it free, because we just wanted as many people as we were a little bit ego driven. Let's build like the biggest financial education community that we potentially built, and how did that work out for us?
Well, I don't know if that was the intention. We just wanted to test it out first, so we just put some feelers out there. Let's open it up for free, see what how people feel about it, how many people come in. We weren't thinking as many people was going to come in as they did. Like we only mentioned it like on.
You don't start something to not have people show up,
but we mentioned it about 2 or 3 times on a video, and we had 900 people in 2 months join. You were expecting almost 1,000 people in 2 months to join the membership?
No, not quite that. I was not expecting those numbers, but I knew that it was. Oh no, I did not expect those numbers.
Exactly.
I expected those numbers because when we were looking at like the stats, like those numbers were very realistic. And we know people love free content. And I expected that, like, but seeing it, like, I was surprised that, there's very few times where you have an expectation and your expectations are actually met. And then you're like, oh, I don't know if this was actually,
a good idea.
Doubting,
Maybe we should have set up some parameters.
Yeah,
because I think what happened was, right, so we looked at our business, which the foundation of it is YouTube, and people find us on YouTube, and we provide a ton of free content on YouTube, videos all day long just on YouTube. And we were like, okay, let's kind of bring that over to Group App. And what we didn't take into consideration was those who are willing to click on a link and move from YouTube into a different platform have a different level of investment. And we didn't capitalize on that investment, no pun intended, in investment, monetary and or time, whatever you want to call it. We just didn't capitalize on that. And what we've always heard from friends and mentors and things like that is people who pay attention. And so what we kept running into was when people showed up for free, there was no engagement, there was no commitment, there was no true investment in the group. And so if we were trying to build something of significance, we needed to level up those who wanted to invest their time and money with us so that we can create something truly meaningful for everyone. And that's just not going to be the case with a free community.
Yeah. And I remember coming to you guys and I was like, hey, I think we should delete everybody from the community and start over.
Or like, you guys I was like, that's rude. It was like rude. How are you just going to delete people?
I was ready to do it. Reason being, we have over 200 videos on YouTube that's free that we put a lot of time and effort into it, and we don't want to negate all that hard work we put into those videos for them to come to another free
dumping ground
where we put in a whole lot of work into this also.
Yeah. It was for me, I was hurt by it for a moment because I was like, man, what are these people going to say? What are they going to do? What are they going to think? And then you guys being both kind of black and white, you're like, what's the problem? So I was like, all right, let's do it. But I felt better because Donna Barry, you even showed me like, look in the community. When's the last time somebody's engaged? When the last time somebody's responded to anything you've posted or done anything? And I was like, okay, if there is an activity in there, they probably don't even remember their logins or their passwords anyway. Right. So it's not going to hurt anything.
Yeah. And so we decided, all right, if we're going to delete the community, right? We were like, all right, we got to do something where we are providing massive amount of value and we bring in some new like members who are committed, for a year, and we can build a solid foundation on it. So I think for me, I was like, at the end of the day, I'd rather have 20 people that pay attention to what we are like teaching and get massive amount of value than the 900 people that we had in there. And for us to build a solid foundation from the ground up, because if you can get 20 people to join something, you can get 100 and you can get 2,000, right? So
that's exactly right.
I was like, hey, let's delete everything and start over. But at this point, let's incorporate what we do best, right? And that is teaching, and that is sharing information around finance. And that's what our audience wanted from us, not just a place to have discussions. That didn't really, set us apart, because there's tons of places, there's tons of forums that you can go to and have discussions and talk about anything that you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
and don't have to pay anything.
yeah, you don't have to pay anything, but our audience like wanted us to teach and provide the community as well. And so we started and we launched relaunched our community, which, I made these hypotheses like, let's go for 20, but I'm like, damn, if I tell Carmen and Darius to delete their community of 900 people and start from zero, I hope we hit these goals.
They're gonna be like, "See you later, Donnaberry."
No, like, see you later. Group app doesn't work.
I definitely have to say, well, I know you're joking, but we were definitely committed from the whole
from
point,
the start,
because we knew this is a gap for our business, and so we had to keep testing and testing and testing. And what we've learned from you is you test it until the wheels fall off. And testing can be painful and grueling, but you learn so much from it. So I'd say to transition how this next launch went, like you said, when we all came to the realization, like, you know what, if we can just get 20 people and even get more, but the main thing is we need quality. We need quality, not quantity, because these people who show up for us, who we consider our founding members, are going to help us get the feedback and everything that we need so that we can build this solid foundation and then just build from it.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually ended up, we had just shy of 50 people sign up, which beat our numbers, and that was amazing. And we committed to like an outline. We didn't have anything pre-recorded. We didn't have anything ready. The only thing that we had ready was like an outline, like a syllabus based off of feedback that people were giving us. So when we launched the whole membership, it was, hey, what are you looking forward to learning from us? Those type of engaging questions. And we built the courses and the workshops, everything that we created around the engagement that people were giving us. Because Darius and I have learned too many times, stop building things that we think is valuable because it may not correlate with what your audience actually wants from you. Right. So that saved us a ton of time and allowed us to be really lean with the launch, because we didn't have to go pre-record a bunch of stuff. So Donnaberry, you were like, let's launch it. We launched it like a week later, and we had the 47 signups, and we started the very next week. So we weren't bogged down with the details and the minutia and all of this type of stuff. We're like, all right, test and play, let's go.
Right, because it allows you to take immediate action. When you do the pre-recording, there's all these different things you have to do. You have to make sure that you have the right camera and the camera set up, and you have to have an outline, and you have to have a script, and you have to have a PowerPoint created. There's a lot of things that you have to do that doesn't push the needle forward.
Yeah.
And when you just have an outline, it's easy for you to maneuver just with the things that you do have, because you can take immediate action. And I think that's what we learned throughout our entire journey, is because, like, even when we were doing Patreon, we would pre-record videos and people wouldn't even watch the videos. We would have PowerPoints, ask people about the video, they didn't even watch it.
No engagement.
Nothing. But
go ahead.
But with those lesson learns and being able to apply it into the software, it really worked out for us, worked out in our favor big time.
And it showed us, like, don't be afraid of starting over, because going back to the testing, you have to test until you find that something works. And you'll even see, like, in our account, although we were really the launch that we did, the first launch brought us over $30,000. We were ecstatic for it. But the main thing that we were really even excited about was just the engagement and the level of engagement that we were getting. And even to the point, the level of engagement has been so outstanding that the people who are joining our membership now is because of the engagement from our founding members. They're like, oh, I joined because I wanted to see Donnaberry on the classes. He has really thoughtful, questions or whatever it is. And so we recognize that it's allowing us to kind of step back from the Darius and Carmen show and allow our members to stand up, level up, and share their visions and goals for themselves.
Because it goes back to the point of a community, is the fact that there's different people in a community that makes the community what it is. There's different views and opinions about topics that you're passionate about. And when you have a difference in opinion and have a conversation around it, you learn something from it.
Yeah. And I think, just to add to like the founding members campaign that we did after Deleted, for me, one of the things that I took away from like the free membership is that not only did I want like the initial members to have a monetary commitment, but I also wanted them to have like a time commitment as well initially. So it allowed us to train, like, onboard people in the correct fashion. So on top of like launching our founding members program, we made it all Zoom based. We made it live, right? And having to show up at a specific time and day and go through that workshop that we created. We just put together an outline and created. I think that alone also allowed us to onboard people correctly into the community. And it created that connection that you just can't really, you can't really create when people are just faceless. Even though you have like their profile images, you can't create that connection as well if you don't have people communicating, getting comfortable with each other to where they can transition into a virtual environment and be like, I'm just gonna post this. I know like we don't have our meetings this week, or again, I'm just gonna post it because I know, Alex or Rachel is gonna just jump in and chime in like what her feedback is. And so that's what I wanted to create, learning from like the free portion that we had, just more commitment upfront. And I think like going back to commitment, what I really like that we did is we committed long-term to building our community, right? We didn't just say, hey, we're going to launch a community in like 2 months. And if it doesn't work, we're going to just stop, right? We're like,
do the next thing.
We said, hey, no, we're going to fucking do this and we're going to figure this shit out. And so launching and building a community just requires commitment. And I think if you're not committed for at least a year and like testing and iterating, I don't think you should build a community at all. And I know it's scary, like when you launch initially and it just falls flat and having to relaunch again, because when you're launching a community, you're launching like public, right?
Yeah.
You're sending an email to your list. You may like the community may not work out. And so you want to change things up and relaunch again. And that's like building in public, and that can be very scary. But also, I think launching in public gives you a couple of like advantages. It allows you to get feedback a lot quicker on things, and having that outline that we put together, like to me, I was like, hey, if we don't even hit our goal, we didn't waste. The only thing that we wasted time on was writing 4 emails.
You can say that again.
And, for me, I'm like, 4 emails, I can get Carmen and Darius to do another one because it's only 4 emails. If we recorded 15 videos and then the launch wasn't successful for our founding members, getting you guys to do another launch would have been extremely difficult.
Yeah, or you do all that and only 2 people show up and it's a mother and daughter.
Some mother and daughter. The package deal. But you're right. It's all about not overcomplicating the process. And we're creators, we have amazing friends who are creators as well. And we all have to check ourselves because we can tend to overcomplicate the process, especially when you're talking, like we're talking to you, Donna Bear, and we're like, we're going to do this, and this, and it's like your head's spinning. Like, why are you doing all of that?
It's hard not to overcomplicate it. You have to be intentional to not overcomplicate a community that you're building.
Yeah. And I think it goes to the fact of, as creators, we pour so much love and value into things that sometimes we can just be overdoing it, because like we said, we're just like, our community is drinking out of a fire hydrant, instead of the garden hose. And when you're forcing all that information on your community, you lose the value and you lose them, because now they're just overwhelmed. They don't know where to start. They don't know where to stop. And so that's why for us, when we committed to not only this being a year commitment, I would say for this launch that we did for the founding members, we also, like you said, Donna Berry, kind of ingrained it with them. Like, hey, we're going to be together for a year. We're going to figure this out. We're going to continue to pump content. We want you to be engaged. And it really allowed us to see who was there for the long haul versus who maybe might catch the replays here and there.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think just switching topics a little bit, I think one thing that we did really well with our founding members of, our community is we provided a lot of value, right? So we did a 4-week, we initiated our founding members with a 4-week workshop that happened over Zoom. And in that 4-week workshop, it was only supposed to be for 4 weeks, even though we're going to be together for a year. But we ended up extending the workshop by 2 additional weeks, And I know initially at first we were very hesitant before we launched, like, we're just going to do like a 4-week, anything longer might be a little bit too crazy. But then we got all excited. We're like, oh man, people are having so much fun in our community and in this workshop with our founding members. Let's do another 2 weeks. And I remember, Carmen, you told me that let's do another 2 weeks. And I was like, are you sure?
Yeah. I remember you're like, no, we probably shouldn't. Like, no, Donovan, we need the content. We need to keep going. And then what we did another few weeks on top of that too, because I know we, like you said, we didn't want to overcommit, but we recognized from the feedback and from what everyone was giving us that per the schedule that we had created, right? You have to be flexible, when you're testing and building. And we recognized what our members needed from us. And in that, we had to be flexible, pivot a little bit and serve a different plate than we were planning on serving. And that was going to take us a little bit longer. And that was totally fine.
It's because we had experience overcommitting on something. Like when we were in the other program, when we were in Patreon, we would show up every week and people wouldn't show up.
You're like, hey guys, anybody?
We had to record, had a pre-recorded video every single week.
Yeah.
And we got burned out.
Yeah. That's a good point. Burnout, something that I don't think we've addressed. And then that's what happens with creators is when you're not monetizing your time, and also your audience isn't getting value, nor you're getting your value, that's where the extreme burnout comes in, because we always go, oh, we'll just create this, we'll do that, we'll do this. But then we, again, don't recognize the time that we're investing. And there has to be some sort of monetary value that's in place.
Absolutely. Being a content creator is hard work because you always have to have content.
And you can't build a business for free. You need resources, you need team, you need support, you need whatever the case may be. And it's not necessary that you're trying to turn this crazy profit. You essentially just want to support your community members and grow and do whatever it is and provide them the best resources. And you're not going to be able to do that with a free plan.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that we were trying to figure out is, okay, how do we, monetize our time and, to where it's worth it for us? Because, moving from Patreon to group app, initially on Patreon, we're charging $10 a month. And, you guys came to me and you're like, all right, we want to charge for our community. And we were playing around a little bit. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just charge $119 a month and make it,
we're like, what?
Make it annual of $997 a year. And you guys were like, whoa, that's a big jump from $10.
Yeah. So slow your roll, Donovan. We were thinking like $25.99. But you opened our minds to it. You really did, because again, people who pay attention, and you have to set the price point based off of what kind of engagement you want to get. And that price point changes the engagement. It changes the audience. It changes the conversation. And you have to recognize if you're going to invest your time, if you're going to show up and do videos, do worksheets, whatever the case may be, you want to have the highest level of engagement that you possibly can, because at the end of the day, we all want to be challenged. And so these people who have shown up for us have challenged us completely, made us grow significantly within this past year. And having this membership community at the price point that it's at has made us better creators because of our community who showed up.
Yeah. And I think if you're new to this, you also have to think about, like for us, we had to think about the fact of our value ladder. Our core product is a $40,000 product. So we can't charge $10 a month and I have our core product be $40,000. There's a huge gap there. So for us specifically, it requires us to have a larger monthly amount or annual amount for the community, because our core product is it takes a lot of people out of the equation that can't afford our core product, I would say.
No, I definitely agree. And also the thing that I just realized is that the people that were paying us $10 a month, some of them even moved over to the community and started paying the $119 a month, which was like a shocker for us, because initially we were like, well, they're not gonna pay that. But you know, it also comes back to, we weren't really assessing our value, as you know, as well as we thought we had. You know, we were like, well, you know, like we could only charge 10, but people were like, yeah, I'll pay 100 for it. So this is why it's important. Like Carmen, you talked about it a little bit. Experiment with your pricing. Don't be afraid to experiment. Like if you check out our Wealth Nation Money School subscription dashboard, it's a whole lot of experimentation, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, I laugh because I was like, Donovan, how do we clean this up? I'm like, oh, it's grandfathered in, my friend. That ain't moving.
Like, which one is on? Which one are we
What's
using?
the newest plan?
But even going back to experimenting, once you figure out what works, cut down on all of the other things, right? So let's talk like now that, you know, we are almost a year into building Wealth Nation Money School, we figured out what's worked for us in terms of like our community setup, what we should be charging, right? And let's talk a little bit about that. One of the things that's worked for us is, Darius, he talked a little bit about it, is we have a $40,000, you know, that's our premium like product that we charge people, that we want people to purchase, right? But we also know that we want to bring them in through education first, because, you know, making a $40,000 investment, it requires a ton of education, and we want them to have as much success as possible. So now for us, we have turned our membership community in a couple of different like value ladders. And the first one is the courses that we've recorded over the last year through our founding members program are now available for like a one-time fee. And I think that's $129 that we, and that's our initial membership. And now on top of that, we now have our live coaching program that's built on top of a group app, where we charge $119 a month and or $997 a year, right? And the reason why is because we wanted to first just monetize our initial YouTube traffic. All right, if they're gonna come from YouTube, we want to give them as much value as possible, and we want to make them a ridiculous offer. So let's give them all of our courses and content for just a one-time fee, instead of just initially just a subscription model. Share a little bit like about, you know, what were your initial thoughts moving to that model after we've done a lot of experimenting. And
well, my initial thoughts is I think it's better organized that way. Reason being is, if you the byproduct of every recording that we have with our live class is a replay. Now, when somebody goes and look into getting involved, they may be overwhelmed, or they may feel like they have a ton of value being added to them just for this one price. And if I upgrade and do the coaching class, I'll be the ones that's actually on this class and interacting with people. I think it's perfect, because there's certain people that's going to want certain things. We even did surveys asking people what they want, and we just created what people said they wanted from us. And the majority of people, they want the one-time deal where they can teach themselves. But there's also a select few people that want the live coaching program. So I think it gives us an opportunity to better organize ourselves and give people exactly what they want.
In addition, so giving people what they want, you also have to look at your books as well. And you have to, through testing, what we recognized is what gap that we wanted in our business was we wanted more reoccurring revenue. But we also knew that had to be married with some one-time purchases. So we started out with the reoccurring revenue. and saw that fluctuate, ebb and flow, based off of people who are joining and whatnot, and then churn and things like that. And then we said, okay, while this is ebbing and flowing, and of course we try to keep it as consistent as possible, but we were like, what can we also piggy bank this with maybe just like you said, a ridiculous offer where that can be a little bit more consistent, and that can help in the times when the subscriptions are up and down or all over the place. So for us, again, it was twofold. It was, what can we offer the members, but then also how can we cover the bottom line?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think just to like wrap up, I think we should just like share like a quick summary of like our learning experience of just building this membership community to over 6 figures in, less than a year. I think we're now about like 9 months in of just doing experimentation. What has been like the biggest like learning for you guys hosting and doing these calls and interacting with your community?
Well, I'm going to correct you on the timing. The timing has been at least 18 months. We've probably been live for 9, but there was too many discussions in the background about how we're going to launch this thing, how we're going to do this. Too many of those days. So it's been a minute in the making.
Right.
And I also have to build the software.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So lessons learned. I'll keep it short, sweet, and simple. Have clarity. Stay focused and be flexible.
Lesson learned for me is to ask what people want instead of assuming what you think they want. Those surveys were amazing. Asking the question at the end of a class, what people want, allowing people to speak freely, get comfortable, build an environment where people are comfortable so they can tell you exactly what they want, because that's been huge. Because when somebody pays you, they pay you for a specific reason, right? Mm-hmm. And they'll let you know what that reason is. And 9 times out of 10, it's the same as somebody else. So if you can ask the question or create an environment where people feel comfortable saying how they really feel, then you really put yourself on the fast track.
I think building this community with you guys, some of the lessons that I have learned is first, just be committed for at least a year in building your community. You're gonna learn a lot. You might have to start over. And I think the other thing is attach a value as to why someone should join your community over, someone else's, right? And that might either be an online program, coaching session, whatever it is. Launch with value attached to it. When we just launched for free and we're like, hey, this is a place to do discussions, we got a lot of people, but we weren't getting the results that we wanted, right? So launch with value. And I think the other thing is launch a minimum viable community. Don't try to build everything all at once. Don't try to upload all your courses, everything. Just launch with one program. It could just be an outline, do a Zoom call, and launch and focus more of your time and energy into like marketing and selling your community and providing your customers and people with like your initial founders with value. And I think, again, the last thing is, I'd probably go back to my first point is just start small and grow big, like I'd love to say is, people don't join a community because it's big. They join a community because it's good. So launch small and grow big. If you can get 20 people to join, you can get 100 people to join. And I think that's like my learning lesson, building this community with you guys on Group App.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, that was it. We have other goals for Wealth Nation Money School this year. Some of those goals is now to double what we did last year and continue to add and develop our coaching program. But Carmen and Darius, I appreciate you guys hopping on this call and just having a conversation and sharing, our journey into building a 6-figure membership community in less than a year. And it's been fun working with you guys building this community.
Likewise. And I just have to say a goal that we have is to continue breaking Group App so it can be better for
everybody.
For everybody involved. So you're welcome.